Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GGW podcast. It has ended 2-2. Arsenal 2, Chelsea 2. That was a shit intro. I apologize. Shit intro for a shit performance, honestly. It's kind of on par. We all watched the match. We had our number one on-field reporter at Leveled City. Shout out Leveled City again. We appreciate you guys. And we will have a fan cam coming out in a little bit. You know what? Let's just dive right into it, lads. How are we feeling after that?
Awful.
Awful,
Disappointed.
Yeah,
Very
disappointed.
bad.
yeah. I think that we got very lucky. We stole a point that match, and honestly, Chelsea lost 2 points.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I agree with that.
I
I
don't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no. I was just gonna say, like, I think Arsenal fans should be relieved that we took a point from that match. But for those saying that we dominated the match, because I've seen it on Twitter, because they just look at possession stats. Like, for those saying that, like, we've dominated the match, we took our chances, which are correct, but it still,
Least dangerous side.
yeah. I think you have to be able to recognize when your team plays poorly. Go ahead, Ari.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly along the lines of what you said. I don't think the stats were a fair reflection of how the game was, because it said we surprisingly, it says we had 57% possession,
Yeah.
um, and we had more shots than they did. But I don't think that's a fair reflection of the game. I think Chelsea played us out of the park. I don't think any of our players showed up at the races today or yesterday. Aside from, I think, Rice, Trossard, Martinelli, maybe a few others. Um, but we were not playing our usual um, clinical, clean football.
Mm-hmm.
It was very sloppy. We gave the ball away a lot, so and they just looked a lot more dangerous. But I think that comes down to mostly from the analytical side. I think that comes down to how they lined up in their formation, um, both on and off the ball. And then I think giving up that early pen allowed them to play a lot more passive and
Mm-hmm.
restrictive, and allowed them to really cut off a lot of our options. So I think that's why we didn't really see Odegaard on the ball as much. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
and
definitely have to agree with that.
let's just.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Go
no.
ahead.
I
Go.
was just gonna
No,
say,
you're
since we're
good.
talking about the penalty, let's talk about it. But if you have another,
Well, I think people are being way too harsh on Odegaard for this
yeah.
match,
Oh.
saying that he is saying that he ghosted and that he didn't do anything. But if you look at our possession, yeah, we had more possession, but our possession was literally from our wingers. It would go out to Gabby, and then he'd take 2 touches forward, get doubled, take a touch back, and play it back. And it just got swung side to side. Our
hmm
possession rarely was in the middle of the park where Odegaard was. And he had to come so deep, basically standing on top of Jorginho and Declan Rice in order to get touches on the ball. And there was a huge disconnect between him and our front three throughout the whole match. I have to give props to Chelsea because they controlled the center of the pitch very well until the last, what, 15 minutes of the match. They controlled the park really, the center of the pitch really, really well,
Mm-hmm.
and it took Odegaard out of the match. And
yeah.
whenever he did get on the ball, he didn't have any options to do anything with it. He just
Mm.
couldn't find an outlet pass to Jesus. Like I think we saw 1 or 2 times where Odegaard would play a ball thinking Jesus would be in a certain area, and Jesus would already be turning to run a different direction. It was just a complete disconnect in the front three, and I just think people are being way too harsh on Odegaard for that, saying that we need to strip him of his captain arms band and give it to Declan Rice. Don't get me wrong, Declan Rice was hands down the best player on that pitch for Arsenal
Mm.
yesterday, and I think he does have a shout to be an like a second captain,
Co-captain, yeah.
a co-captain, and with Odegaard, but taking it away from Odegaard after all that he's done, saying that he's not showing up in big games. Like I was looking at stats. He scored against United this season, scored against Newcastle, Spurs, Chelsea last season and assisted against Liverpool and United last season as well. So saying he doesn't show up in big games, that argument is gone because he does. Chelsea just did a very good job of shutting down the center of our pitch,
Yeah.
shutting down our midfield for a majority of that match. That's just my viewpoint on it.
Yeah. I mean, it was almost like they were playing six in the midfield because they had the double pivot of Caicedo and Enzo playing deep, and then they were playing a 4-4-2, and then they'd have Mudryk and Sterling pinch in,
Yeah.
and Conor Gallagher and Cole Palmer would drop deep as well to cover the passing lanes centrally. So we really couldn't play through the middle because they just clogged the middle with pretty much everyone.
So if you're playing with an Enzo and a Caicedo, two defensive center mids, where are you going to expect Odegaard?
Yeah, especially if they're man marking them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, VK, go ahead. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's just absolutely absurd that people are asking for the captaincy to be stripped. In my opinion, Odegaard has been not only our most consistent captain, but one of our best captains since Koscielny. I mean, he's the epitome of Arsenal Football Club. He's the epitome of doing the business on the pitch and off the pitch. Like, you're not defined by one 90-minute game. And I think the reason why people are starting to say like he's ghosting and stuff like that is because when you see multiple world-class performances back to back to back, and then he has a mediocre performance, you immediately think it's shit, right?
Yeah,
we were talking
set a different standard.
Yeah, Ari and I were talking about this today in footy. You know, Odegaard played like shit, but he still almost got a 7.0 rating. Like that's not bad. You know what I'm saying? Like you had Caicedo, who I believe was on like a 5.6 or something like that. Like it's just because he had one poor performance, if you even want to call it that, is ridiculous. And you also have to applaud him for his movement off the ball as well. He's always the first one to lead the press. He's motivating Eddie because we all know he needs a lot of motivating to be pressing. Like he's leading those charges for the press, and I think that's ridiculous. Like I agree, Declan is great captain material. I think we have a great bunch of lads that could take the captain armband if Odegaard leaves, and which Saka, Declan. I would say Ramsdale, which that's a subject we will definitely be speaking on. So I don't know. I just think that's ridiculous, and I think just people need to, stop being so reactionary, especially since, like I said, it's like Gabe said with the stats. Like, I don't know. You can't say he's not playing in big games when he's scoring against all those big teams.
I was going to say, on the other hand, do you think a player of his caliber, a player that most people would consider world class, or at some point will become world class. You think a player of his caliber should find a way to get into those games more often, like the games that he does struggle to get into a rhythm or get into a flow of? Like,
I mean, that argument's always going to be there.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there that he needs to find a way to get on the ball, find a way to create, find a way to be in pockets, and just whenever he does get the ball, that'll be the difference between world-class performance and a mediocre performance. When he does get the ball, he has to do something with it, and he has to be consistent. So that'll just be the difference. And again, he's so young. I think him and Declan Rice are both the same age.
Yeah, I think they're 24.
Right? Yeah, which is crazy. So having them for another 5-6 years coming up here is
incredible.
They're just going. Yeah, we have so much to look forward to.
Yeah.
What about you, Sammy?
Yeah.
Me, I think Chelsea's fullbacks did really well this whole game, shutting down our wings. As you saw, Gabby would take a couple touches, turn around, pass back, and then we would switch wings. Cucurella probably had the best game of his season, and he shut down both Saka and Ben White pretty early. And I don't know what was going on with the back line yesterday, but from the second minute, Zinni started playing out the back, and that was scary to begin with.
Yeah,
Raya
we're just in the group chat saying we're going to poop ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just overall, we started off on the wrong foot, and then that basically set the mood for the rest of the game. And honestly, I agree with you guys. We got so lucky to get that point. but overall, that goal from Rice was amazing.
Oh, world
And
class.
even from Trossi, and I think Trossi should be starting more over Gabby. I think he creates a lot more of a threat, and I think his runs into the box and just like any dummy runs he makes are really more beneficial to the team. I mean, Gabby's great, like at dribbling at defenders, but I think in a game like this, we needed Trossi more than Gabby.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Real quick, let's just talk about some of the controversial moments of the game. We'll start with
This isn't gonna be real clear. Let's be honest.
Yeah, let's just talk about the penalty.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start. Yeah, I mean, so Saliba jumping for the ball. Unfortunately, it goes off Mudrik's head. Hits Saliba's hand while making the header motion while jumping. I think it's a bit unfortunate, but I just think, unfortunately, with the laws of the game how it is today, that's a penalty all day. A couple years ago, maybe it would have been a little different, but I just think with how it's run today, it's a penalty all day. What about you guys?
It is a penalty, and it's frustrating that something like that is a penalty. I think it's just the way the law is written. There's obviously no intention. You have to take into consideration proximity. He's literally on top of Mudryk trying to head the ball. The Mudryk's header is not going on frame. It is going out for a goal kick. So there's a lot of stuff that's involved. I do think it is a penalty. So anybody out there saying that we're complaining about the call, I think a majority of us do think it should be called as a pen. And that is a pen. But it's just frustrating seeing something like that being a deciding factor in how the match went, because that changed the momentum for Chelsea. They were on top of us for the first 15 minutes, but I don't think that holds on if they don't get that goal. And it's just how it happened. Unfortunate for Saliba. He shouldn't hold any of the blame for that. It's just one of those freak things that just happened. What about you, Ari?
Yeah, I was gonna say if that happened to us on the other end, we would have been, yelling for it, and it was similar to, I think, the pen we received against Spurs, right? In terms of like proximity, and so like
The difference between the one with Spurs, though, is that was going on frame and was potentially going to be a goal. Like this one wasn't. This one was going out for a goal kick. But against though.
Yeah, but by the laws of the game, it's always a pen. So I agree with you. I have no complaints or different opinions on that. So,
Sammy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pen all day, but unfortunate. I'm just surprised it even got to the box and to Mudryk. I think, that was the most shocking thing, to see that a cross got in, Saliba didn't win the header and cleared out, and it led to that. But yeah, overall, a lot to improve on from this game, but still a pen, and I was hoping Raya would make the save, but, well, maybe Ramsdale. Congrats to Ramsdale on his kid, but maybe bring the kid to the game next time and put him in goal.
Oh, that's funny as shit.
Oh my goodness!
Ryan and himself.
Oh my goodness!
That's
you know what? We'll use that.
Again, congrats to Ramsdale. Congrats to Ramsdale
and your child.
Your child. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Your second child, which will be the starting position again starting next week. So let's talk about Raya, because he was highly suspect yesterday. Almost like I'll say it. I don't know why this man is trying to force a move to La Liga when you deserve to be in the championship. Like, what your performance yesterday was absolutely garbage, and I do think some time on the bench for you is warranted. I did see a thing on Twitter saying, "Oh, well, he's not confident because the fans aren't backing him." I will say this, just how we said with Havertz. It's not that the fans aren't backing him. It's just there is a lot to be criticized with how he plays and the mistakes he makes. And yes, obviously everyone makes mistakes.
One game.
Right.
People that are saying it's just one game. We've been talking about it here on this podcast. It's not just one game.
I think this is like the fourth game. This is the City being almost a huge example of that. And then, the Mudkip goal was, I mean, you can claim it was a shot. It was a cross. He literally was waving people into the box as he kicked the ball. Like, he was just...
Like, he wasn't even looking at the goal. He was
Mhm.
looking for, who is it,
Sterling.
Sterling on the back
Yeah.
post? Yeah.
I mean, freak goals like that tend to happen at Stamford Bridge. It happened to Saka, and he was crossing and it hit back post.
Yeah.
It just was frustrating that it was Mudryk because that dude's a fucking prick. Trossard though still has more goals, so Chelsea fans pipe down.
Scored a proper goal
Oh what?
in the match. And scored a proper goal.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was a filth. We'll get there in a minute, but let's talk about Raya again. I will give the floor to the Raya fan. See how he can defend his boy, and then we'll see where he can go from there.
Before he gets put on trial by the three of us.
My defendant had a horrible game, and I think he should be in jail. No, I'm kidding. I just think, he's been playing so recklessly and dangerously, and not communicating enough with the back line, and he's just really trying to force out the back. And I know that might have to do with Arteta's philosophy of playing, but sometimes you just gotta boot it up. And obviously, you saw the press from their front line and their midfield, and Zinni gave it away once, and then Raya gave it away 2 or 3 times trying to play out the back. And luckily, Nicholas Jackson and Mudryk can't really finish one-on-one chances. Unless the goal is 350% enlarged. So
I just saw that video again yesterday, and I saved it.
Well, it's a series now. They're doing it with everybody now. If you Sky it, they're yeah. All right, sorry,
I love that so much.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I just really think some time on the bench is definitely deserved after that, because that was an abysmal performance, and yeah, overall. I don't know what he was doing, and maybe he should focus on Arsenal instead of thinking about La Liga at the moment, because I don't even think he would get into a relegation side at La Liga. But yeah,
It's a little harsh with how much you love him, but
That is very harsh.
love you.
I think that's on point. I'm not gonna say it's harsh. I think that's on point. I ain't gonna lie. But all right, lads. What do we feel about that? I mean, Sammy, I'm glad you're not delusional. So I'm very happy that you can see that, which is good. That means that you are a huge football fan. But I mean, Doc, how did you feel about Raya's performance?
Let me start with let me start with the stuff that wasn't as bad. Now, while I was at Old City, I was talking with a bunch of the 14th Street Gooners, and we kind of all talked about the Mudryk goal and how his positioning was questionable, but granted, he was expecting a cross. Mudryk was looking for a cross. He was in the right position to come out and catch a cross. He was on towards the edge of his 6. Any good goalkeeper is going to be positioned like that.
yeah,
Now, even if he was back closer to his goal line and more towards the middle of the goal, I think that still goes into the back of the net because it dips right underneath the crossbar and goes side netting. So I can't blame him too much for that goal. Now, his other mistakes, on the other hand, throughout the match, and this has become a consistent thing, pretty much gives another team a golden opportunity, whoever our opposition is, a golden opportunity to score at least one goal a match. He almost gifted Man City a goal. He almost gifted Chelsea a goal. He had a giveaway that gifted, I mean, not necessarily gifted, it was a really good finish, but in the Lens match, they scored off of a errant pass from him. And then I think in the match prior to that as well, who we play before Lens?
Yikes.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was another match. He almost gave a clear goal scoring chance. He just passed the ball away, and we saw it again here against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. He passes towards, I think it was Declan Rice, when he is doubled. It's like, one, even if that ball gets to him, what the hell are you expecting him to do with that? There's a difference between playing it out of the back and awareness. It's like, yeah, okay, you're playing it to your player, but it's gonna come right back down your throat because he's going to lose the ball. That may not be on you. Declan may lose.
Nope.
Oh, you cut out a little bit.
I think we lost Doc.
I should do better, but you're playing.
Oh. This happens only here on the GGW pod. Oh, damn. He's like...
Oh, he dead.
He dead. Hello?
Hello?
Oh my
All right, there he is. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. We missed half your rant.
Oh, it's all right. I'll just skip to the end of it. Like we talk about how Raya is so good with his feet with long balls. I think he may have connected only one or two of his long balls against Chelsea. Everything else was to a Chelsea player or out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like whenever he was trying to string passes to Gabby or Saka. So there's questions to be had. I don't think he's a poor keeper. I think he is. Sorry, Mark. I think he is better than Matty Turner in competing with Ramsdale. I think he is better at pushing Ramsdale to be a better keeper as well. Did he leave to grab his jersey? Where did he go?
He probably went to grab his jersey.
To put it on. He's probably going and putting it on or talking about it.
No, I'm just crying in the corner. It's
Oh,
fine.
you're crying.
It's fine.
So, I do think he's a quality keeper, but if Arteta sticks with him still, there's like two sides to this coin. It's okay, you have a manager that is backing their keeper after a bad performance. Or two, you have a manager that is backing multiple bad performances by their keeper. What does that say for the backup keeper that's given you so much? Like you'd rather go with a keeper that is going to give the opposition definitive goal scoring opportunities every single match, or go with a tried, tested, and true goalkeeper in Ramsdale. So it's like, I'll digress. So
I think we're being a little bit harsh on him. I don't think he made too many, like obviously outside of the, like distributing factor. Aside from the distributing, like I think he did a pretty good job as a goalkeeper. I mean, like a penalty is almost nearly impossible to save, and then like we said, you can hardly blame him for a fluke goal. So I mean, from a goalkeeping perspective and keeping goals out of the net, like he did well to smother like any opportunities that they did have. Um, so I think we're being a little bit critical of him, but I do think from the distributing standpoint, um, he could be better. But I don't think he played. I don't think he played the worst game, honestly. Like they got in behind a few times, and each time, and even like with his opportunity that he gave Cole Palmer, the one that he gave it straight to him at the top of the box, he smothered it really well. Like he did a really good job of fixing his mistake. But like I said, from a goalkeeping perspective, I think he did a good job. It's just both of the goals that we conceded were a fluke and the penalty. So I think it's a little bit unjust. But go ahead, Mark.
No, you say that he smothered it really well, and he did absolutely. But he shouldn't be in that position in the first place.
Yeah.
Secondly, if that isn't Cole Palmer, if that's Erling Haaland, that's in the back of the net.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So that's I think that's just something that we have to also keep in mind when being critical.
But I think it is like we said. I think it's part of Arteta's philosophy and play style to play out of the back. And like I've watched numerous videos where they talk about how they want the keepers to hold the ball until the very last second to distribute it, because it pulls the player out of position and opens up space for other players to move into. So I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the reason why we see it so prevalent in the Prem.
Yeah.
sides that like to possess have these scares, and it's going to happen because everyone's human and they make mistakes. So I think it's just part of the philosophy and how we want to play. If we want to be a dominant possessive side, we have to not be afraid to make those mistakes and play from the back.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think the consistency of the mistakes is a problem though, because
Yeah.
we're seeing it week in, week out.
Mhm.
Like a lot of these chances could have been in the back of the net.
yeah. Mhm.
So that's my issue with it. That like if he's making one or two of those mistakes, like one of those mistakes a month or
Yeah.
like every 6, 7, 8 weeks, okay, it's gonna happen.
Uh,
But whenever it comes 4 weeks in a row,
And multiple
that-
times in the same game.
there's an issue there. It's whether okay, maybe we can't be holding on to the ball that long and just need to keep the ball moving, or there needs to be some change there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's actually just real quick before we close this portion out. Just remember, it is important that you are allowed to be critical of a player, but to send abuse to them personally is fucked up. So if you're doing that, you're not a genuine fan. It's you know what I mean. Like there's a difference between memeing and sending abuse. Like if you're like in his DMs like going crazy, like just A, he's not gonna see it probably. B,
He's our player. Still.
Yeah, he's still. You could be
And
critical.
even if he wasn't our player,
you shouldn't be
saying
sending
that
abuse.
stuff.
Yeah.
Even if this was Ramsdale, we'd be
saying the same thing.
We'd be critical.
Yeah.
We'd be critical. Yeah.
And just because I saw some crazy stuff on Twitter being said that was just unnecessary, about Raya. So let's talk a little bit about the small positive. We only had a very few positives, but hey, we had few positives, but guess what? Those few positives are what helped us get a point out of this match, which is something that us Arsenal fans are actually not quite used to. So, huge improvement there. First of all, Declan Rice, even in a horrid team performance like that, which part of it is, we played poorly, but also we had to clap it up for Chelsea because they played really well. Like they made us play poorly, you know what I mean? But Declan Rice, man, holy, I don't know how he didn't get man of the match. How Saka won man of the match. I mean, kudos to Starboy, but like Rice should have been man of the match. He really bossed it. There was a lot of big chances that he cut out, and then that goal.
I think on Twitter I did see he was man of the match.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
I think Premier League named Saka because I saw it came up as an alert like afterwards, but it might have changed. But
put him down as player of the match.
Okay, cool. But let's talk about that finish because that finish is difficult.
It's crazy.
First time under pressure, like
it was over. So that I saw that is the longest goal for Arsenal since I think it was either 2005, 2006 or 2007, 2008. It was like
distance-wise?
It was 36.6 yards out.
Really?
Yeah.
And he side netted it.
Time.
Yeah.
Reaction time is crazy. The ball was played and he was like, "Oh, I'm hitting this first time," and just rifled it. Such a crazy finish.
Mm-hmm.
Such composure. And
we saw Sanchez get caught out a couple times too. Sanchez can also be in the same conversation as Raya because Sanchez low-key kind of threw the game for Chelsea in a way. But every time those mistakes were made, I was yelling shoot every time and no one was. And then when finally Declan was like, you know what? Hold my beer. Let me do it myself. And then just side netting. Oh, it was incredible. But besides the goal, man, he was so instrumental in locking down that midfield, especially when our back line was not having the best of days. He was just all over the pitch, man. It's crazy. All right, how do you feel about?
I will say the one he did have a good opportunity to square a ball to Odegaard around like the 20th minute.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys remember, Zinchenko played him that through ball and he was running in behind. He tried to finish it himself. It was a perfect opportunity for him to slot or to square it to Odegaard, like you're right at the top of the box, and do his clinical, like the finish we've seen hundreds of times, where he just hits it one time and it finds the bottom corner. But he saw. I don't blame him because just like us in in pro clubs. You know, sometimes you see your name in the headlights and you just want to shoot. So
You gotta get that
I don't.
promotion.
Yeah, I don't blame him, but yeah, I mean, just an outstanding player, a bargain of a player. 105 million feels cheap for him now. Like he's up there with Rodri as one of the best DMs in the world right now. I think. As long as he
He's top
keeps,
four, top five.
yeah, if he keeps these performances up, he's easily like top three DMs in the world. I don't think that's even up for debate.
And I think, I just looking forward, I think England's gonna be a real big competitor for the World Cup because
Mm.
Bellingham, Rice pivot is nutty. Like just imagine that as your holding mid.
Yeah,
Like
but they have Southgate,
The
so
only
he.
the
I mean,
the
true.
only issue that's
Yeah,
that's literally what I was
true,
about to say. The
true.
only issue they have is Southgate because it'll be a Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, and Jordan Henderson midfield
Oh,
starting.
true, true, true.
Not
And
Henderson.
that Bellingham and Declan Rice midfield is just canceled out by Jordan Henderson.
Jordan Henderson.
And Harry Maguire on defense.
No, no,
he's actually class for England.
no, he's class for England, but I saw a stat which I thought was
Oh,
bonkers that
yeah, United.
for Harry Maguire,
Yeah,
with him, their win percentage
it's
is
like
crazy
94%.
high.
It's 15 wins and
94%.
one loss.
And then
Holy,
without him, their win percent is 56%.
holy.
It's like
I mean,
it's 22 wins and like 48.
you have to look at the matches he's probably playing. I didn't look into that. It's like who's he starting and playing against versus who he's coming on or not playing against. But again, like win percentage there is crazy. So we joke, but stats don't lie.
I was gonna
Wow.
say, I saw something on the internet. Do you guys think that Declan has come to a new level at Arsenal, or do you think he's always been this good, even at West Ham?
Sammy, why
I
don't
think
you
he's
start it
always been
off?
this good. Oh yeah. Go for
I
it.
would say he's always been this good.
Yeah.
But I think he has the potential at Arsenal to reach a new level, like reach that Casemiro, that Rodri level as a DM. And
Khabib
I think,
What? Khabib? Casemiro? What? You think he's
yeah,
world class?
Was that
Casemiro.
Real Madrid?
When he was at Real, he was.
When he was at Real,
Okay,
he was
okay,
Oh
okay.
yeah. Sorry.
he was
Old Casemiro,
crazy. Yeah.
not secure the bag, Casemiro.
He-
Yeah, from like Casemiro's Madrid days. I think he has that potential to be that CDM level, and I agree with Gabe that he's up there with Rodri right now as one of the best DMs. I just wish he had a better holding pivot partner because Jorginho was, I don't want to say horrendous, but I just don't think
he's
he
just
was.
he's just getting too old.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that game wasn't for him. We needed Party.
Yeah.
We needed that injection of pace, I think. But
exactly. But yeah, that's my thoughts, and I think Rice can definitely elevate our game to a new level, and like is a perfect replacement or like an upgrade to Xhaka leaving.
Probably one of the best DMs we've seen at the club since Gilberto Silva. No,
yeah,
Vieira.
could
Yeah.
could be. Shout out Jose Silva, fan of the pod, by the way. So shout out.
Yeah.
Doc, how do you feel about that?
So I agree with Sammy completely. I think he's always been this consistent. He just has more quality around him now.
Yep.
And to be fair, I think Arteta's, we see what he's done with players like Odegaard, players like Gabby, players like Saka. They're world class in their own right, but he is a proper manager that can mold these players just to a different level. And I think that's what we're going to see with Rice over his years with Arsenal. I think he's going to be even more consistent and even more world class. I feel like he's going to be one of the best CDMs of the generation.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really do. I'm really confident about that just because what he's already shown in 9 matches with Arsenal in the Premier League. He's been one of our most consistent forces in the midfield, proper leader, and he is stepping up in big games.
and scoring in big games. Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
exactly. And he was one of the players, I think, this match that was constantly fighting, constantly looked like they had energy. Even when we were down 2-0, he was the player that stood out to me that still felt like we could win the match and still wanted to win the match. He was trying to do everything. He was the one that, like, whenever a ball wasn't getting played into him, he was like trying to check to it, trying to get the ball and just keep it moving. And you could see the energy was still there. So I think he's just going to keep on improving. What about you, VK?
I just echo everything you guys say, to be honest. I think the only thing that I just would add was I would just like to see his like goal clinicality just go up a little bit more. He was scoring a lot more at West Ham, and I think I mean obviously he's been at West Ham a lot longer. I think five years. I think he was at West Ham. Club legend for that small club. But I think if he were to just get his finishing up a little bit, I think like you guys said, because like that's one thing that Bellingham has is the goal finishing, the chances created, and chances finished, I should say. Sorry, stuff like that. But world class player.
I partially disagree with that because I don't think that's his job.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it is. But
but it's also not Roger's job, and he's been doing it too.
Yeah.
Hey, no, that is a very, very.
There's been very, very good opportunities that he has not been able to take so far, and I think if he just took those chances, I think he would solidify himself as like Rodri Bellingham level. I mean, Bellingham's kind of on his own level right now, but close to that level.
He's different gravy.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. What do you think? I know you're the one that posed the question, but
I think he's always been class as well. I mean, he did really well for West Ham last year, and I mean he helped bring them to a European trophy, and then he's always been class for England every time I've watched them as well. So, just all around, just a dog. He just works, constantly. Just constantly works. Always on the end of every tackle. Always on the end of every ball. Interceptions. One thing that I would like to see him improve on is his passing range. Just his ability to find long balls in behind, or slot players in behind. Just be more of a deep line playmaker. On top of his ability to be a ball winner. Just because I feel like that's a little bit of what we lacked in yesterday's game. It was difficult for us to find our way up the pitch because we lack that deep line playmaker, that Xhaka type, to really break the lines with their passes and move us forward. And I think Arteta made a really good adjustment in the second half, where he had Jorginho dropping into that right center back role, and Ben White was pushing up, and that allowed Saka to invert, which allowed us to draw more players to the ball because Jorginho's passing range is a little bit more threatening than Ben White's. So when he'd receive the ball in the right center back role, more players would press him, and then we'd be able to work it up the pitch, either to Ben White or Saka inverting into that half space. So I do think that if he is able to unlock that ability to make those long range passes, he'll be up there with the greats.
Yeah, I agree. All right, and then finally, our final topic. Let's talk about. You talked about long balls. Let's talk about big balls, and that's Trossard's big balls for taking the game by the throat and saying, "Nah, this is my game. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make Arteta struggle to not put me on this team sheet." Because, wow, was this game flipped on its head when Trossard came on? Well, actually, when all the substitutes came on, but specifically Trossard. In this instance,
Tomiyasu as well.
Dude, big ups to him, man. He's thriving in that new. Who would have thought? We thought he was going to be Ben White's backup. But he's doing phenomenally as the Zinchenko role, which is
he deserves a run of starts here.
Yeah, I would play him over Zinchenko for
better defensively and quality enough possession wise and playing in that inverted role to be taking over Zinchenko's role.
Yeah, now. And he's got that Japanese style of play where just don't give up, keep playing. He's unlocking the blue lock. He's going crazy right now. But no, I think Arteta again had great substitutes. I think it was all timed. I was begging for a Havertz winner. Begging. I was watching it with a Chelsea fan. Yeah. I wanted to see. I was watching it with a Chelsea fan, and when he came on, I was like, "My goat, my goat." But I will say, Havertz looked pretty good yesterday. I think he was up for it. I think he was looking to dribble and pass. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. Trossard. What a goal, man. And again, it's very unfortunate for Chelsea to play that well to fall to 2 mistakes, because I think it was I almost say Garnacho. That's not his. Gustavo.
It was Malo Gusto.
Gusto. Okay,
Who had a fantastic
game, and
like
maybe
their wing backs were crazy.
Right, and you know what? Maybe this falls on Pochettino for not subbing him. Maybe he didn't have fresh legs, but you could tell he was getting out of it. He was tired. The ball came in. Gusto checked, said, "Oh, he's not going to get to it." Backed off, and Trossard just darted right in and stuck a foot out, which is what we need to see from our attacking players, is the passion and ability to get on the end of those balls. But what did you guys think of that equalizing goal?
I don't know. I mean, I saw Gusto when I watched the replay. I saw Gusto check over his shoulder like a second before it happened, and he saw Trossard behind him. He just switched off for like a half a second, and that's all it takes for an attacker to get in behind you. So, I mean, there's just a really class run from Trossard. Really well done from Saka to pick him out and put him onto the ball. I think Sanchez could have done better with the opportunity in terms of like saving it. I think it was a cheeky little finish from Trossard, and he's in really good form coming off of international break. We said he scored a screamer, so. I don't know. While I do agree that he is in great form, I don't know if he comes in and starts over Martinelli, just because I think he is a very impactful player off the bench. I almost feel like he is more impactful off the bench than he is starting, because we've seen him get a run of starts and be a little bit disappointed with his contributions. So I think he is a player that comes off the bench and brings that spark and ignites our attack. But I think it's better off the bench than it would be starting. But that's just my opinion.
No, fair.
What about you guys?
Crazy finish. Like, so the one angle that Arsenal posted was seeing the ball come in like towards the back post, so you're watching it curl over everybody's head. And when I tell you this finish is so incredibly difficult, I can't stress that enough. It is dropping down. He comes in and finishes it with the outside of his right foot back post. Crazy first time finish. Absolutely clinical. And while I do agree with you, Ari, about him being like a super sub, I think his contributions, both goal scoring and assist wise, are starting to knock on that door of maybe he needs to start getting some looks for some starts.
That's fair.
And it doesn't have to be like 3-4 games in a row. I don't think that'll be it, because I love Gabby and I think he does deserve to be starting. But I think his goal contributions and assists and just how he's impacted the squad whenever he has played deserves a look at the starting lineup in a couple of games.
I just think that him coming on against tired legs with his like tricky footwork and his dribbling ability, I just think it makes it more difficult for them to defend him. So that's why I think coming off the bench, he's more impactful, because legs are heavy and players are tired. So his ability to dribble around players and make key passes is that much more lethal when it's in the late stages of the game rather than early when they're fresh. But
we could say the same thing for Gabby as well, for Martin. Taking off Trossard and then putting somebody pacey like Gabby on the wing.
Yeah, I just don't think he's just as good as in terms of like creativity and technical ability.
Yeah.
That's fair. Sammy,
what about you?
Yeah, I would agree with Ari, but I think he does deserve a couple starts, maybe midweek against Sevilla. But I think you're right. He doesn't have that technical ability, but I think he's a better wide playmaker than Gabby. And I think his runs in, like I said, and his movement on and off the ball is a bit better than Gabby's. And obviously, I think in certain situations like yesterday's game, we needed that. But I think overall, I think he should be getting a couple more starts or at least some more game time. Same with Tomiyasu. And yeah, I think a lot of the subs proved yesterday that they should have a starting spot even for a couple of games. And I think that's really good competition for the squad overall.
Except for Havertz.
Havertz has been playing better. Dare I say, better than Zinchenko recently?
Yeah, but you want to play him over? You want to play him over Rice Party?
No.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
has he been playing better, or has he now finally just been playing normal?
Well, either way, it's
And-
better. You need to think.
I mean,
I know
it's
what you're
like-
trying to say. I'm not
I
saying
think
he's
it-
world class. I'm not saying he's Odegaard
No,
level,
no,
but
no.
I'm just saying like he has had a stinker of performances, but now he's playing better. I'm not saying he's playing well. I said better.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
All right, well, overall, 2-2. We got a point from the match.
Mm-hmm.
We move forward to Sevilla midweek in Spain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sevilla.
So, in Sevilla. Away for our midweek UCL match. Match
yes,
week
sir.
3.
My only gripe with this is we're giving Tottenham the opportunity to go top of the table, but
I believe in Fulham.
It's still early.
That's
Yeah,
I
very
believe in
early in
Fulham
the
too.
season.
But I think just the other thing that I've been frustrated about is every time we knock City down a peg, we never capitalize. Never.
Mhm.
It happened last season. It's happening again this season.
True.
We beat the league leaders. We finally could solidify ourselves top of the table, and then we drop points. We drop points, but
Drop
we
points.
savaged.
To be fair,
At
was
Stamford
away.
Bridge.
Yeah.
Stamford Bridge is a hard place to
I
play.
was
Yeah,
gonna say, to be
and
fair,
they-
it was
Whoever
over-
said the
played-
stat, I told you in the pre-match game about us being the first team to win for 4 years consecutively. Yeah, fuck you. You jinxed it. You jinxed it.
We didn't lose. We didn't lose.
We didn't
What
lose.
kit did you wear?
I didn't wear the black kit.
You didn't wear. You gotta wear the black kit.
Yeah, dude, forget everyone's bad performance yesterday. This is really just on Gabe.
It's on
This is
Doc.
on game.
It's
This
on
is
Doc.
literally on Doc.
Oh
I can't
god.
believe this.
All
I
right.
didn't wear the black kit. I wore a kit that I cannot talk about yet because there's
Fair.
a segment still coming.
Coming soon.
And if a certain player would have scored, that kit would have been fucking framed. No. Okay, a few closing remarks from me. I have to big up 2 of our wingers here. So, big up Saka for when Odegaard came off, he was given the captain's armband. So, his first time ever being given the captain's armband. So, I have to big up him for that. And also, we definitely have to big up our boy Gabriel Martinelli. That is 100 Premier League appearances for him
Amazing.
in the Arsenal shirt.
Go
So
with
big
that.
up to both of our
crazy.
boys. Big up both of our
Our
boys.
star boys, the recreation of the Alexis and Ozil picture.
Assuming there's never.
What? Yeah, true. All right, so Gooners Gone Wild fans, you guys got a long one. You guys got a 50-minute podcast this time.
That's
But
our longest podcast.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Technically we're at 48 minutes and 32 seconds, but by the time we close out, it'll probably be
We're
around
about
50.
to make it.
Yeah.
50.
But again, if you saw that we had some technical difficulties in this pod, if you guys would like that to be remedied, subscribe, like, comment down below. The bigger we get, the better the production gets. And if you're listening on Spotify, go on over to the YouTube, check it out. If you're listening on YouTube, go on over to the Spotify, check it out. Quite literally, it is free to support us. So even if you want to change your mind in the future, hit that subscribe button, and
Yeah, we just appreciate the
we
support.
just appreciate the support.
Oh.
Also, again, I'm gonna just real quick to close out. Shout out to Doc's networking skills. Doc has been out there pushing the pod, and he's the goat in getting out there and being our on-field reporter. Fan cams coming very soon, and yeah, I think this is a good way to just say, come on, you Gunners.
As always.
Come on, you
Gunners,
guys, baby.
As always. See you midweek for Sevilla. we're gonna thrash them 7-0. Okay, goodbye.